Boom, baby. Welcome to another episode of the Boom Breakdown. We're going to break down some of these Lincoln, Nebraska fights tonight. We got the main event. We got Justin Gaethje and James Vick. Really big fight for the 155-pound weight class. Obviously, Justin Gaethje coming off two hard losses to Eddie Alvarez and Dustin Poirier. And obviously, he showed he can hang in there with those guys, but just can't ultimately get the job done in the end. You know, these guys got a lot of... They're seasoned veterans. They got a lot of high-level skills in there, and really just hard guys to put away. You know, hard guys to beat. And with Justin Gaethje's aggression and his pressure, they were able to handle it and come back towards the later rounds in the fight and finish him. So, you know, that says a lot about those two guys. But Justin Gaethje versus James Vick. We got Vick as a 6'3" lightweight, really tall, really rangy guy. He knows how to use it really well. He kind of stays on his back foot a little bit, which might hurt him in this fight, but he knows how to use that length and that range. So that's a good thing for him against a lot of guys in the weight class. If you're tall and you got the reach, you got to know how to use it. You know, some guys are tall, they have reach, but they don't know how to use it, and they let guys get too close the distance, get inside, and that's their game. So you got to be careful about that with Gaethje, because he likes to put a lot of pressure on you. Throws these chopping leg kicks when he's pretty much in the clinch this close. He'll chop down on a leg, which is something that not a lot of guys do. You know, a lot of guys in the clinch, they're using knees and collar ties and stuff like that, and they're trying to look for takedowns. And that's one of the big questions in this fight. Is Justin Gaethje going to go for a takedown? Is he going to change his style? In my opinion, I don't think he's going to. I think this is a fight where he feels he has a really big advantage over Vick on the feet as far as closing that distance, putting that really high-level pressure on Vick, keeping him on his back foot, back against the cage. And like Gaethje said, eventually Vick's going to hit the cage and be stuck. So I think he's just going to be the same Gaethje in this fight, put on that pressure, throw a lot of leg kicks, because obviously if Vick is 6'3" for 155, he's probably got, you know, he's got pretty skinny legs, so maybe that's something Gaethje wants to take advantage of and chop down those legs. For Vick, he's got to keep Gaethje on the outside, stick and move, outpoint him, and kind of wait to see when that finish presents itself. You know, maybe he hurts Vick later on in the fight, hurts Gaethje later on in the rounds, and then could pull off a finish. Maybe he rocks him and looks for a choke. You know, we know Vick's got really good Darce chokes, anacondas, guillotines, stuff like that. So he latches on pretty quick if he has you hurt. That's definitely Vick's advantage in the fight. I think he has a little bit better jiu-jitsu, you know, well-rounded skills on the ground, but he's not a wrestler, and I don't see Gaethje being a wrestler in this fight either. Obviously, Gaethje has the wrestling credentials, and everyone wants to see him kind of switch up his stuff a little bit and see if he could have some success with taking guys down a little bit and kind of playing the system. You know, the system is based off points like that, and it sucks, but Gaethje's a really solid fighter that has that wrestling that he could use to take you down and kind of, you know, win the fight on the judges' scorecards if the fight's not going to be finished. But he's not a guy that's willing to do that. He's a really exciting fighter, comes in there with crazy aggression, just kind of throws everything caution to the wind and gets in there and gets reckless and tries to break guys down and break your will. And, you know, you can't blame him for that. If that's who he is, that's who he is. You know, I do believe that this is the fight that Gaethje's going to come back and have success in. I've seen Vick in fights before where if a guy really puts pressure on him, he starts to back up and get on his back foot and kind of lose a little bit of balance, kind of gets a little loose on his legs, you know, and I think Gaethje's going to take advantage of that. I think Gaethje's really, really good at closing that distance and getting close in on guys, and if he could do that to Vick, he takes away the whole advantage of range and distance that he has with his length. So I think Gaethje's going to close the distance. I think he's going to work those legs, and I think Vick's going to feel something that he's never felt before in there, fighting guys that he has fought. He's done really well, but I think Gaethje's that guy that's going to come in and say, well, you wanted one of the top guys, well, here it is. I'm going to go with Gaethje by TKO. I think he's going to have a comeback win this fight after his two big losses, and I think it's going to be good for the division. You know, I know for James Vick, he's done so much, and he's earned that shot to get, you know, a title contender fight, but Gaethje needs to get a win here. His back is against the fence, and even with his back not against the fence, we see the way that he fights is crazy aggressive, so I got Gaethje in this fight, TKO. I think it's going to be around second or third round. He's going to put that pressure on. It's going to be too much for Vick. Co-main event, we got Michael Johnson, Andre Fili. Andre Fili coming off a controversial win against Dennis Bermudez. Beating Dennis Bermudez, no matter what, is a tough task. So that's, that was big for him. I didn't see that fight going his way, in my opinion, but that's neither here nor there. He got the win, and he's fighting Michael Johnson, who's made his way down to 145 from 155, and he's kept his speed and his power pretty much there. So he looks sharp. He's taken a few losses, but he's been looking really good. And Fili coming out of that, Uriah Faber's camp, Team Alpha Male, he's got a really, really well-rounded game where he mixes up his angles and his strikes to his takedowns. So he's really unpredictable and hard to see what's coming at you when you fight Fili. Michael Johnson, I would give him the more precision, more speed advantage in this fight. We've seen him touch really high-level guys on the chin and hurt them, like Khabib Nurmagomedov, and he's finished guys like Dustin Poirier, and that says a lot, for what those guys have done with their careers. Michael Johnson seems to be in really good spirits this week, and Andre Fili also seems to have such a high level of confidence, saying, he is the best 145er in the world. He truly believes it. You could see him exude confidence when he says it. So, that means a lot. This game's really psychological, and if you can kind of pick up on how guys' mindsets are, that's big too. So this fight's really hard to pick, you know what I mean? Because you got two guys that they both have speed. They both have a little bit of power. I would say Michael Johnson has a little bit more of that finishing touch, and but Andre Fili has more of that mixed up, well-rounded game where he's unpredictable and you don't know what he's going to do. Michael Johnson has some wrestling too. He's good at explosive takedowns. He's good at getting underneath guys and driving hard double legs forward. So he has that form going as well. In this fight, ultimately, I feel like Michael Johnson's going to have that just one step ahead with the speed and the precision. I feel like he's going to be able to touch Fili and hurt him and get that TKO finish as well, probably in the second round or so. First round might be a little bit of a feel out. Both guys don't want to get overextended and get caught. So second round, they'll start to open up, and that's when I think one guy will get caught. And that'll be Fili, because Michael Johnson has some freaky speed for the weight class. So we're going with Michael Johnson, TKO. Next up, we got Courtney Casey and Angela Hill, two up-and-coming girls that are trying to make their claim for that division, strawweight division. They need some new contenders, so this is a big fight and a pivotal fight for that weight class as well. Both women are very tough fighters, very well-rounded. Angela Hill likes to come forward and use that Muay Thai. She's got good strikes, kicks, everything, mixes it up really well. Courtney Casey, very big and physically imposing for the weight class. And she's pretty similar with her striking. She likes to use that Muay Thai as well, but also not shy to go for some grappling exchanges, takedowns, and try to push the jiu-jitsu in the fight as well. Keep it short and sweet on this one. It's really not much of a difference in this fight as far as styles go. Ultimately, I think Courtney Casey's size is going to play a role in the fight. I think she's going to use her grappling in this fight and get either a TKO on the ground or a submission victory. Some other fights on the card. We got Eric Anders versus Tim Williams. Tim Williams making a comeback. He took a long layoff. He had a couple losses that set him back, and he's coming from the Ultimate Fighter where he put his time in. I know I seen him on the regional scene working his ass off, and he's a really tough guy. But Eric Anders, obviously that big prospect who's an ex-football player with that athletic background, came off of a controversial split decision loss to Machida in Brazil, and that's not an easy thing to do in Brazil. Almost came out with a victory there, but lost that split decision, which we all know in Brazil it could have gone either way when it comes to split decision calls by judges over there. So Eric Anders probably going to be a little bit more physically dominating in that fight. He's a southpaw, tricky southpaw, and he has a lot of forward pressure, knows how to close the distance and put the hands on you, and he has big power for that athletic build that he has coming from football. So Tim Williams, no slouch, really good chokes on the ground. I know he likes to go to that arm triangle. If he can get it there, it's probably going to be a pretty tough task against, that the athleticism that Eric Anders brings. So I'm going to go with Eric Anders probably by decision. Another fight I'm really excited to see is Sandhagen versus Alcantara. Obviously, I fought Alcantara. I'm just going to touch on this fight. Sandhagen, he comes from, I know he spent some time with Dwayne Ludwig, so he has that really good, bang Muay Thai style where he's got these angles, he switches up stances, and he's throwing feints in there and a lot of trickery. So, with a guy like that, he's also got good length for the weight class. I really think it's going to be a lot for Yuri to deal with. Yuri's not really good on his back foot where a guy's cutting him off and confusing him and making him back up. Yuri starts off really strong, though. He's really confident in the beginning stages of the fight where he kind of sticks those straight left snap kicks to your stomach and tries to hurt you with those left hands, and he tries to throw a lot of power one-off kicks and punches, and that's not really going to do much against Sandhagen. I feel like Sandhagen's a little too funky and good with the movement and angles and unpredictable, and he's really fast for the weight class, and he throws a lot of feints in there. It's really hard to see what he's throwing at you. So I think that's going to throw off Yuri a little bit early on in the fight, and I think eventually we're going to see Sandhagen come out with that TKO with those unpredictable strikes that he has. Possibly a decision because Yuri's not an easy guy to finish, and I really don't see the fight going to the ground. I don't think Sandhagen's going to risk it and try to take him down. He's probably just going to try to outpoint him with the strikes, and maybe he doesn't have that power to really put him out. We'll see. He definitely has the volume where if he catches him over and over and over, I think we'll see a TKO, but power-wise, I don't think we're going to see a KO in this fight. But I got to go with Sandhagen. I'm really impressed with that guy. I think he's making the drop down from 145 to 135. So we'll see how he looks at the weight class. Seems to be a really lean guy at 145. So he probably was, not too big for the weight class. Probably was, not. It seems like in interviews that the weight cut hasn't been too hard for him. So hopefully that's true and that doesn't weigh heavy on him. And we'll see how he looks. But I got faith in that guy. I like his style. He's got really, really nice movement and nice angles and unpredictable striking. So look forward to seeing that fight as well. So we'll see what happens. Boom, baby.